Yo, what's going on, guys? Seth Spartan here. So guys, today we've got an extremely important video for you guys today. Today we're gonna be talking about squats versus deadlifts. Which is better? Which is superior for building maximum muscle mass? What is the best for bodybuilding? Let's answer this question. So guys, let's dive into this. How do we first address the answer, or how do we address this question and then find the perfect answer? Squats versus deadlifts, which is better, which is superior for muscle mass, strength, and ultimately bodybuilding, fitness, athletics in terms of maximum muscle mass. What do you guys have to know? What do you need to know? The number one thing we first have to cover is what are the major muscle groups activated or worked when doing squats versus deadlifts. So if we take the squats first, right? Squats, big old, beautiful squats to failure. We're talking barbell back squats, or even squats if you want to talk about Smith machine, but we're going to stick to barbell, all right? Hardcore barbell squat all the way up, all the way down, squatting to failure. Major muscle groups worked is going to be what? Quads, quadriceps, hamstrings, and you're going to get lower back involvement, okay? Those are the major muscle groups worked. If you're squatting hard, heavy to failure, everybody knows that, all right? And squats are amazing, tremendous for muscle mass. There's some people, there's some exceptions. There's some people out there that just have really bad body dimensions for squatting, and there's some people like that, all right? But for most people, squats are king, period. Squats are king, all right? Ronnie Coleman, Dorian Yates, Branch Warren, the list goes on. Let's talk about deadlifts. Deadlifts, right? Hardcore, heavy deadlift to failure. And no, I'm not talking sumo deadlifts. Sumo deadlifts, although they have the name deadlifts, I'm going to get some slack for this probably, but I'm just going to say this as it is. I have nothing against sumo deadlifts. Sumo deadlifts are sumo deadlifts, but they should not be compared to regular deadlifts, conventional deadlifts, which are just regular deadlifts, all right? So, you know, I came from a powerlifting background. When I talk about deadlifts, I'm talking about regular deadlifts. When you say the word deadlift, what do you think? You think conventional deadlift, and that's what a deadlift is, a conventional deadlift. A sumo deadlift is something else. It's a modification or a variation. So I wouldn't even, you know, deadlifts are one exercise and sumo deadlifts are a completely different exercise in terms of how it activates these muscle groups and also muscle activation to begin with. That's another video. Let's talk about regular deadlifts, hard, heavy, intense Ronnie Coleman deadlifts, okay, to failure, hardcore, okay? Deadlifts, what are the major muscle groups? One, you guys know what I'm gonna say here, back, lower back, spinal erectors, big back, you know, the things that run up and down your spine, back, especially lower back for deadlifts, major muscle groups. Second is going to be hamstrings, and then third is going to be quadriceps. Now, since we've listed the major muscle groups, all right, what do you guys need to know in terms of what's going to be better for bodybuilding? What's going to be better for maximum muscle mass? Let's wrap this up. This is what you guys need to know. Squats are going to have an advantage over deadlifts every single time. Why? Why is that? I've done both. Plenty of them, tons of them for a long period of time, all right? I used to be a powerlifter. So why is it that squats are going to be better than deadlifts? And guys, that's the punchline, okay? That's the sum of this video. Squats are better than deadlifts for building muscle mass and just getting ultimately as big as possible. And if you're gonna pick one exercise, you're going to pick squats, hardcore, heavy squats to failure all the way up, all the way down, over deadlifts all day, every day. Why? And again, I used to do both for years, and right now all I do is squats. Let's talk about this. So, but first let's address this. Why is squat better than deadlifting? Why is it? Number one, you're going to activate the quads a lot better, all right? A lot more quad activation when squatting. Most people know this. Hamstrings are going to be about equal. If you're squatting all the way to failure and deadlifting all the way to failure, you know, they're going to be pretty close. But deadlift might pull ahead a little bit when doing hamstrings, but squats are known mostly as a what? A quad dominant exercise anyway. Lower back, this is where deadlift is a clear winner. In terms of lower back strength and muscle mass, deadlift is going to pull ahead, but not by a ton if you're doing hardcore heavy squats to failure. You know, okay, when I stopped doing deadlifts, hardcore heavy to failure, when I stopped doing deadlifts during competitive bodybuilding, did I lose my lower back gains that I gained from doing deadlifts? No, because if you do hardcore heavy squats all the way up, all the way down to failure, your lower back is still working, and you're not going to lose almost all of that muscle gain from deadlifts. So when I stopped doing, you know, deadlifts, bodybuilding deadlifts, and just said, hey, I'm going to focus on squatting once a week, hardcore heavy, you know, it didn't hurt me. It did not hurt my physique. So I know there's guys like Ronnie Coleman, and there's people that say, you know, you have to do deadlifts. You don't. You don't have to do deadlifts if you don't want to. Deadlifts are great for building muscle mass if we're talking about the lower back specifically, but they don't have to be done. And there's a lot of bodybuilders, you know, top level Olympia bodybuilders that don't do deadlifts. You know, Dorian Yates did some deadlifts, but he did that as more of a finishing exercise. He did not do it hardcore heavy to failure. All right, so you can listen to him talk about that too. Let's see, what do we need to finish up to close out here in terms of information? Last thing I want to tell you guys when comparing squats to deadlifts, both are extremely effective, powerful at building maximum muscle mass in the muscle groups I talked about, all right? But there's one major problem with doing squats and deadlifts in the same week or around the same week. And this is the problem that I ran into. This is why I don't do deadlifts anymore, okay? What is that? What is that? What's the reason? All right. Ronnie Coleman, Branch Warren, Johnny Jackson, huge deadlift proponents. Here's the reason I don't do deadlifts anymore. If I squat, yes, if I do hardcore heavy squats to failure, crazy, all out during a week, if I try to do deadlifts all out, hardcore in the same week, I cannot perform either exercise optimally. All right. So I found this out, you know, it took me years to learn this in my training because, like I said, there's benefits to doing both deadlifts and squats. And, you know, deadlift is a slightly higher risk than squats. Most people would back this up. Most people would say this. But the bottom line is, you know, they're both kind of close, okay, in terms of risk. Deadlift has a little bit more risk, but if you do it with perfect form the way you should, it's not going to be a big deal. So the reason that I don't deadlift anymore in the same week that I do squats, that's the reason I don't deadlift anymore, is because I can do both in, you know, about a week, right? In the span of a week-ish, you know, 8 days, week, whatever I'm doing for my split. Right now I'm doing everything once every 8 days, hardcore to failure, just destroy it, right? But, and I talk about that in my the series I'm doing, the Real 10% Body Fat series. But what you guys need to know and understand is if you try to train squats all out in the same week as you're doing deadlifts, all out bodybuilding, hardcore to failure, either your squats or your deadlift is going to start lagging. You're not going to be able to train it as hard. So, you know, and like I told you, if you squat, you're going to get most of the benefit. You're just not going to get the same level of lower back. Okay, so that's what we need to talk about. And last thing I want to say, guys, and this is important, so hopefully you're still sticking with me. Last important thing, okay? This is it. If you ask professional bodybuilders, if you ask Mr. Olympias, if you ask the top cream of the crop tier bodybuilders, and also powerlifters for that matter, which is better for building muscle mass? Squats versus deadlifts. You know what they're going to say? Squats. Look it up. Go follow them, whatever. You know, Jay Cutler, Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman. Just go ask, you know, go ask or go watch videos of them talking about it. Squats versus deadlifts. Ask the Mr. Olympias. Ask the best bodybuilders on this planet. The greatest, you know, the best ever. What are they going to say? Squats are better than deadlifts. They're all going to say that, or, you know, I've heard them all talk about this to some extent. So that's pretty much it, guys. Seth Spartan, stay safe, stay healthy. And guess what? We are out of here. Boom.